Hey guys, what's going on? We're going to do some artwork this morning for this adventure that we're creating for Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. You can see the book cover here. It's called Crystals of Babar. It's for 7th and 8th level characters. Hold on real quick. Let me check my signal here real fast. 7th and 8th level characters. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. Okay, I'm going to take a minute here to do links and all that other stuff, intro things. If you're catching this in the future, you can skip ahead a minute, and I'll catch you on the other side after the bump. But yeah, 7th, 8th level characters. You're fighting undead demons and necromancers in the Carnwood of Carnath on the continent of Corvair. We've built over the course of 600 some odd episodes. We've built all the map assets and all the creature tokens, NPC tokens, all the art for the interior throughout the book, and been drafting it here with you guys. And we're getting very, very close to being done with everything, and then we'll be publishing it on the DMsGuild. Related to that, let's see. I think I've finished all my posts. Hold on, real quick. Let me make sure I got everything in place. There it is. Yep. Okay. Cool. Everything's there. That's there. That's there. We're good. Okay. Cool. So yeah, I'm done with my bits. Yeah, so I've made a bunch of books already on the DMsGuild. They're all free to view. Check out throughout here, and Discord if you want to get involved in any playtesting that we're going to be doing. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications when you're live in the future. And let's get to work. So this is the book cover we created. Let's get that out of the way. Here's the interior art that we're doing. This is a 16 by 9 format. It's digital PDF. It's not going to be printed, so I can use PDF machinery. I operate within the medium that you are using, and I'm using the PDF medium. So that on a device, 16 by 9, it fits on screen. Each column is also 9 by 16, so that you can either look at it one column at a time or a page at a time. And it's got all these buttons are clickable for navigating through the different portions of the adventure. Anywhere there's text referencing different things, that'll bounce you around the maps in the adventure. If you press the room of the map that you're looking at, that'll bounce you to that document, and then you can click on the navigation bar and jump back to the map, so you can navigate through the document very easily. All these assets are built for use in virtual tabletop. So we're going to finish. We've been working on this illustration down here. This is like one of, we got three. We have this and then 2 more illustrations after this, and then we are done. And with all the art, I still have to do packaging and stuff, which I've been doing in the evenings off screen. But right now, I just want to do some Letharia patches to get that. It's been crawling in my brain that I want to do that, and I wanted to get to it while I was still thinking about it. Let's go down to our fungus, our patch brush here, and let's flatten it out. And we better grab our template. I do artwork like this Monday through Fridays in the morning, and let's see if I can. Yeah, that'll work. And then I do game design on Mondays and Thursday nights. This is Thursday, by the way. I also do game design on Saturday mornings, and when I can, I playtest on my Discord server. All the different things that we've been building here, I fold into campaigns, and then run the campaign as a DM just to see how it affects the gameplay before we decide to publish it. Most of the stuff that gets to this, I mean, we had 3 DMs working on this one. It had like 6 different teams that played through it, and we got some really great feedback, and hopefully this is going to completely stick the landing for them. But we're also building modifications to the Bastion system in 5e, the color mana spell point variant rules, replacing the Vancian spell slots, and the 8 schools of magic that are traditional to D&D. We're replacing that with Magic the Gathering stuff on Saturdays. The martial power system that gives martial characters a mana supply, just like the spellcasters do. Again, for use with Magic the Gathering, we'll work on that stuff on Saturday. If I have enough people together, we'll play some Mage Tower, which is D&D Rugby using 5e Action Economy as a PvP environment. characters versus characters that players and DMs alike can participate in. It's a sport. It's a sport system, basically rugby. So the rules of the game are like rugby. The rules of rugby are the rules of rugby in the game, using the 5e combat game engine. And then so you can technically play without a DM. It could be a true PvP environment with anywhere from 2 to 10 people, assuming that, you know, if it's only 2 people, it could be like the DM and the player has 2 players each, or it could be just literal 1v1, which we haven't experimented with, but I don't think that'd be the most exciting way to play a sports game in an RPG. Oh, fiddle fat. Oh, that'll be okay. We're doing okay here. Let's go to another patch over here. Hey, good morning. What's going on, Def? I said I was done with this piece, but I really just wanted to get some Lotharia on the ground here and put some smoke up. And then we're going to dive into the next piece. Dang, yeah. I mean, sometimes we do, right? As we do. But I've got very, very little illustration to do after we complete this one. So maybe I'm dragging my feet a little bit. What I'm really doing is maybe I'm overcorrecting. I'm really trying to make sure that I don't rush through the last few pieces that I need to do. I think that's the most important part for me. Let's drop the opacity on the eraser and just pick at it a little bit down here. Let's pick at it a little. There. And now we're going to add another layer in. Natural. I think I see the edge of the text. Right on the edge. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no kidding, right? I have. If you, anyone that were to take a look at the Color Mana Spell Point variant rule books that I've published, the core mechanics and the Knights and Tricksters, that art is not up to snuff with the type of art that we've been producing for the past couple of years. Those books were my first books created, and those were about 8 years ago, 7-8 years ago that we were doing those illustrations. I have improved, I think, substantially since then. So I've learned to be patient, and I've learned to be more clean in less time. So I'm pretty proud with where we're at. So I'm liking that. I'm going to redo the Color Mana books because the artwork in them is like I'm better than that. Yet I like to promote those books a lot, especially when I'm hanging out with MTG people. Duh. But they really aren't up to snuff with the quality of work that I can produce. So the artist in me wants to do a revision of it, not only for updating the mechanics for using 2024, but also just to be able to get that product up to the same level of quality that I can produce for these other pieces now. So so yeah, I'm pushing. Just a little bit of, I mean, there's not, literally, there's like, I think I'm going to poke at his skull a little bit more. But other than that, this piece is basically done. Put some of this stuff in here. There, and I think I want to put in let's go back to this brush really quick. Let's add a little bit more of this in here, a little bit of this in here, and then a little bit of this in here. Here, and then here a little bit, and then we're going to duplicate and filter, blur, Gaussian blur. Trying to find a decent there. And then we want to take this and this. We want to drop the opacity down a little bit. There. There we go. And now we want to get back into the skull. Work that for a few minutes, and then we'll move on to the next piece. Hey, what's up? Is that intended? From left to right, this one being lighter. You know what? Honestly, I hadn't really considered it being unbalanced. I can see what you're saying, though. Like if I were to darken up the soil over here, that would help match pace. I probably should. Let's fix the skull and then we'll go back and visit that since we're not hurrying. I have noticed that a few times. I will not, but I hadn't decided to do anything with it. Not surprising that that would show up on your radar at all, my dude. Let's round this out a little bit more. And I also want to do the eyes. I see text. Right. I love being called out and asked these questions like in real time while I'm actually working on stuff. It helps me. It helps me a lot. Like when you bring it up, or anyone honestly, when somebody brings it up, it gives me an opportunity to take a second chance. Or if it was something that had pinged on my mind and I hadn't settled on it, just a question like that just locks in that. Yeah, you know what? If more than one artist is asking, then that needs an answer. So that really helps keep me grounded and based. I really appreciate that. We should be done by this time next week with the artwork. And once I'm not going to do production on stream because the Word program that the MS Word is my text editing program of choice. It gets real clunky once I get up to. But once we actually start editing stuff, the CPU kind of cries a little bit. It doesn't like having OBS, Photoshop, and Microsoft Word all active. Like it doesn't like me streaming that much RAM at the same time. It makes my RAM sticks cry. I've got 64 RAM. I'm going to have to upgrade my computer eventually. I mean, it's going to just crash out at some point. And when it does, I'm going to strive to just throw in as much RAM stick as I can and just burn into the highest graphics card I can get, just to make this thing purr. There, that feels. That's what I wanted. I wanted to extend the back of this a little bit more to give it like a 7/8 forward view. The skull's too far. It is too face forward. It's 100% forward facing, and it needs to be just like 10% off because of the angle of the body. I think that's what's been sticking in my craw about this one. I gotta be careful not to make it too big, otherwise the skull will get out of proportion with the rest of the body and it'll feel weird. So let's keep that there, and let's pull this in just a little bit closer. There we go. That should serve well. Now we're gonna dare. Let's use a guitar pick. It's really already at a high opacity. I realized that I needed to add this the Theurgy patches in here because there's a glow coming out of the grave, and I want that glow to infer that there's this stuff is in the grave. Hey, what's up? Agreed. Yeah. Very mild angle. I can still hear myself. Fuck off. Let's adjust that. I don't want to mute it because I want to have something, but I don't want it to be silent, but I don't want it to get in the way. It probably wasn't in the way. Now we can work that angle around there a little bit better. Cool. And now we can blend in up here and bend back into here. Fuzz and snuzz. Lean in that nostril a little bit more. I'm tilting my head to try to match the... I tilt my head like this when I'm concentrating, but in this instance specifically, I'm tilting my head to try to get a better perspective on his skull, because it is at that weird angle. I like that. I like being able to break out of the normal angles. There's been a number of pieces where we've played with angles and perspective. This project's pushed me. I'm really proud of it. When we start building the bashing campaign, that's going to push me on material. That and the mecha book are going to push me on hardpoint materials. I'm far more organic, loose paint style and hardpoint art, like hardpoint items like metal on mecha and armor, and items and equipment in a facility, an illustration of a facility. Like if I'm going to do a workshop facility illustration, it's going to have a bunch of tools and equipment and stuff being made. That's going to really push me into that inorganic, precise architecture space that I am not legendary about. I see text. Hold on, let me catch up with you. Oh, God, that's so much better already. Sell it, Kearney. So much better. Let's merge these layers together now. I feel confident about that. What's up, text? The usual artist reference, making faces and striking poses by themselves. But I'm positive you're already going to do something like that. Just wanted to vocalize it before you solidified the finish. Behind the skull, left temple. Just throwing this out here, a small crescent shadow directly behind the skulls. It's left like here, what I'm already working on. Is that what you're talking about? Or are you talking about our left and being over here, like having a curve in over here? I'm pretty sure you were talking about this ridge in here. I don't necessarily... Oh, I see it now. There needs to be a little bit of curve over here. Oh, there's text. I'm not scrolled down. Oh, right on. Yeah, curving this out a little bit feels good. That's my first 20 minutes. I should have about an hour left. Yeah, a little bit more than an hour left. And we'll be done with this probably in 10 minutes. And I want to put a little bit of highlight over here. It's a little off. I need to curve up here a little bit more. These obtuse angles are so rough on the curvature. This is where a dent in the skull would make a lot of sense. The goal never ends. I know, right? Jesus. The cost of contentment is steep. There, that feels good. Got to get those angles. This is a good instance of where I think using a smudge tool instead of just painting over is actually to my advantage. Like I like using the smudge tool a lot more than just adding new pigment over things. It's I like the tactile sensation of pushing the pixels around like finger paint. And when you're working with the tablet, you really get that. At least I really get that sensation. You know, like when I bite into a York peppermint patty. Sponsor! When was the last time I saw a fucking York peppermint patty commercial? Probably like in 2008. There we go. Hey, what's up? Yeah, right on, man. Hey, Fernando, it's good to see you, my dude. Just a little thicker through this curve. There we go. It's a lot better. Let's do some eyes. And then we'll go back to the right-hand side of the page. That looks great. And I'm going to trim that down a little bit to give it the nefariousness. That feels pretty good. That looks just for the art. I was wondering if the buyer of the book will notice this detail. It's a PDF, so you can zoom in like this on the PDF. Like you can get this close to it if you want. You'll see all the grainy detail. At a glance, no, you're not going to notice. But anyone that wants to zoom in, I want them to be able to see where we're at with the process. So it doesn't have to be crisp. I'm okay with it staying rough like this, but I do want to fix that nose a little bit. But at some point, a lot of it's just what I want to do, you know? Like, where's the piece going to give me peace? Nitpicking, though. It is. Oh, what I need to do is not that. Sorry, buddy. You got to go. What we need is a new layer so I can blur it, so I can give it a glow. Filter, blur, Gaussian blur. There, and then over that we'll just drop. A little bit. And then I think one last touch I want to put in. I see text. Hold on. Just a little bit of rim lighting will help break up the silhouette of the gray versus the body. Small detail, but I think useful here. Okay, cool. That feels good. So let's close up. Oh boy, that's a lot of. What is that? Where are you at? There's somewhere, right? There's something going on there. Tongue, thank you. And this is ground, thank you. What I need is the underpinning part of the ground back here. Or even back here. This is where we'll add. Let's grab some of this darker color here, and let's just splatter that around inside here. And let's switch the cloud brush so I can get some decent smudge going. We're going to drop the opacity so it's not so runny, a little bit more resistant and chunky. All right, let's catch up on that text. Also, I don't think it's about the buyer in this instance. I think it's about the inability to settle less than great. It's. I'm not going to do another adventure for a while, so I want to make sure that. I mean, who knows? I could have this out for 10 minutes, and someone could be saying, "Yeah, there's a major issue with what you're trying to do with X, Y, and Z," and it's like, wah, wah. But this has been one of my strongest. I've been ridiculously proud of this, so I have no reason to rush. And yeah, I'm being very, very picky, I guess, about completing. Words failed me there, guys. There we go. Yeah, the temptation to speed up in any means is real. think that feels pretty good. And then let's get back up into here. Down here and smudge this in a little bit more. Yeah, if I wanted profitability, I would probably use a lot of AI in writing and editing and stuff. Not my main concern. It's obviously, I getting compensated for work done, but I don't want to sacrifice. I like the primary reason I do this is because this is my hobby. I'm compelled to make content, and if I'm going to make something, I may as well take the time to make it the best that a fill can do. There we go. That's feeling a lot better. Let's just trim this down a little bit. There we go. That patch doesn't feel quite right. Okay, now I'm getting nitpicky. Stay with me. Let's go in here. Let's use a lighter eraser just to trim off that. Get that curved up a little bit more. It's looking too flat, so I need to curve the patch so it helps meet the rotation, the perspective of everything. Words, Kearney. There it is. And then we want to trim this down. There. Yeah. I could see myself getting to a point where I could build out the mechanics of a book and say clean this up, like clean the language of this up. I could see using AI to do proofing. I don't think I need to hire a human to do proofing necessarily, like text, like spelling and shit like that. Like go through and click proofread this. I think a computer would be decent at that. I would definitely still want an editor for like mechanical development and like structure. This book is structured the way it is because I hired Stuart Braz as my editor. He is an Eberron librarian, and he's been involved in multiple 5th edition products, and he's really good about structuring. Like, what sequence should we put this? What's a good way to digest this information logically? Yeah, the book is so much better because of his involvement. So but I could see trimming out proofreading as something I could have AI do. I don't think that'd be too offensive. I would never. I can't ever see myself offloading art production to a computer. Like why would I do that? I've spent decades building a craft that gives me spiritual and creative fulfillment by doing artwork. Like, I would never offshore that to AI, but I don't have I think proofing is probably where I'm at in the AI arena. Okay, that feels pretty good. And hit save there. Is there anything that I need to poke at on the gravestone before I completely let everything go? What if I... No, don't like it. I'm just going to leave that be. What I might want to do is a little bit more backdrop. So let's grab this same color over here and see about just brushing some of that in a little bit. Just to expand the space a little bit more. Expand the space and add a little bit more texture into it. Plus, it'll help make the skull and the head here pop out a little bit more by having a little more back haze. There we go. I see text. Like, or they should say, are my jam. I use the AI most of the time. Yeah. I got another detail for you every time. Yeah, go right ahead, Def. I do not mind. I'm going to grab this here. Same brush as an eraser. Let's thin it down. I am emotionally prepared for your observation, Def. I'm going to finish this I'm going to finish this course of action before I look at it. That feels pretty good. What's up? The headstone has a glow under the dirt, but the dirt above this spot doesn't glow. Oh, you mean here? This here? That's I'm hoping that's catching the lighting coming out of the gravestone. Yes, sir. Oh, the grit. I think I see what you're saying. Where are you at? Grave. Yeah. Yep, I get you. You catch the details that are crawling around inside my head. I think you get there faster because you're not focusing on a different. You're looking at the environment, and I'm focusing on a specific piece. I think that's why you often see these things and call them out, and before I acknowledge where they're. I mean, sometimes I do anyway. I just don't catch up on text, and there it is. And yeah, this doesn't feel nitpicky at all. Like these little, I mean, if I disagree with something, I'll disagree with it, and I'll probably have a reason why. And you all know, if you can talk me out of a bad idea, you'll succeed. Using that same soil brush to chop at the edges here a little bit. I'm going to use another layer to stack up a little bit. This is just stippling, just putting little dots in there to help interact with the texture of the soil that's above ground that isn't being highlighted. Bit there. Added so much stuff. Yeah, no kidding, right? No kidding. Good call, Dev. Good eye, my man. Yeah, now it's like steps. That feels good. I don't want to get too far out in here. That feels, yeah. That feels pretty good. Yeah, very crunchy. Love that shit. All right, yeah, I feel this feels. Let's go ahead and call this one. The rest of the body is so much darker than the skull. Should I be concerned about that? Let's pretend I am, and give it another few minutes before we jet. just now Fernando's question is like, am I taking it too far? Now that starts to become relevant. Because at some point this is going to switch to whinging, and I don't need to whinge. Not on screen. I can futz and dud as much as I want in my own time, but you guys are choosing to spend time with me. I should respect that. But I did want to get the lighting on this. Like the head overall was just too light, so I think this little pinch here will help. Yeah. Oh yeah. Good point. Good point. Yeah, you're right. A little streak along. Totally agree. What's all this madness? Let's merge all that shit down before it gets carried away. Now I'm gonna start carving. Let's see how much about this I can get away with. I don't have to highlight the whole thing, but I do like these. I do like that. Let's see if I can take this stuff down just a notch. There. Yeah. Yep. Let's call it. Let's just go ahead and call it before we overwork the piece. I think that I like darkening that skull up a little bit to help highlight those eyes. I love how that mask sort of look is popping out. Some light work down here helps to define the anatomy a little bit more. Yeah, I think that feels really fucking good. Yeah, we're done. We're done with this piece. We're gonna call this quits. We're gonna jump into the next piece now. Let me take a sip of coffee and just bask and reflect for a second. There we go. Fun comp. Very fun comp. All right, cool. Let's fold this one up and move on to the next piece. Bloop. Lock in. Let's see. The next piece is page 28. Yeah. Page 28. That's a weird way for my thing to pop up. Here we go. We should already be on page 28. Okay, this is a pinch of a corner, but it's if it was like if it was this size, just a couple more lines, I'd probably let it go. But I've already expanded this wandering encounter information here, and I don't see good reason why I should extend it more. The no name layers are such a vibe. It's 100 with the cover and the back page advertising. It's 104 pages, but they're all 17 by 11, so it's technically 208. or I guess if you were to think about it differently, it's maybe 150. Like if I used a normal format of like 8.5 by 11, these 3 columns would be 2. This is a 12-point font, which I can like the base font is 12, which is an indulgence I can grant because of the size and area of the page, and the viewing space on a tablet device. But if this were to be a normal 8.5 by 11, it'd be 2 columns that were 10-point font instead of 12-point font. So I think you could realistically, I mean, it's like 60. I think it's 60,000 words. You know, plus a shitload of charts and shit. So 104 pages at the 10 by 17. So it's a double truck. Every page is a double spread, and yeah. So there you go. So when I advertise the book, I will not have 104 pages at $13. I'll have 208 pages, and then in the description, I'll describe that these are double truck. That these are double spreads. Every page is a double spread. So is the thanks, Fernando. Path to madness. This is a path. Let's see. So this is the manifest zone, and it's talking about the weather in here. The visibility conditions are all dim light with ground lighting. The different unique terrain that are throughout the adventure, and fouled water, sloped embankment, Volpina Lotharia. It explains what they are, and all these symbols. Like there's the appendix. Appendix B explains in more detail what these exotic materials are and how they can be used alchemically to create different substances and consumable items. And then we have resting in the manifest zone, which sucks because you're going to need to have something to block air while you do take your rests. Otherwise, you're just breathing poison. And then we have the wandering encounters here. But it is the manifest zone. So I don't need to be... Like, this is a courtesy. You know? Like, I'm providing this little corner nook thing here because I feel compelled to fill the page. I'm just going to call this art. And I don't feel heavy pressure on this. We were already doing an illustration in the manifest zone on the prior page, and we've done manifest zone at the end of the Carnwood leading into the manifest zone. What if I were to okay, let's fuck around and find out. Oh Jesus, I don't like this already. I don't know if this is going to be a good idea or not. My thought is a far distant shot of the manifest zone poking out of the Carnwood Forest. Hold on. It was on the wrong layer. I put it all in the same layer for some stupid reason. There's that, and here. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get the proportions right. But it's literally like this dome that's like this dome of poison that is nestled in the forest. This is probably not going to work out. I'm gonna mess around with it for a few minutes just to satisfy the curiosity. Like, I'd have to have, the trees would have to be tiny. I don't think this is gonna work. But let's keep fucking around with it for a few minutes just to find out. Like, that's the size of the trees compared to the size of the manifest zone that the trees are surrounding. And I don't feel like I'll be able to get away with that with good enough. I don't think I'll be able to narrate this in such a small point. Like, you'll have to get that. Like, I'll have to put in, I'll have to Bob Ross these trees a little bit, but they're so minuscule. I don't think that matters. Yeah, I don't think this is a good path. I'm not feeling that. Let's add them back in and not destroy them just in case. Thus starts our trash pile. Yeah, I don't think that was. I just think it was too thin. I would just add some words in the yeah, I know. I could do that. I could really, really do that. And I'm really on the edge of doing that. Rise from the mud. A mob of D4+4 shadow masses hunt the characters. Descend from above with surprise. A mob of ghouls and ghast swarm the characters. D4 whites, previously Red Wolf mercenaries, ambush the characters while they're distracted. Revenants that were Red Wolf mercenaries killed by the undead within the manifest zone. They now seek to murder Captain Carl Follis for ordering his company into the manifest zone to die. They ask the characters to assist them in killing the mercenaries for them to find peace. And then 2 mobs of D4+4 sturges buzzing around a pool of blood-tainted rainwater and clumps of blackened moss. Yeah, you are. No, I mean, I've had that debate 3 times already, and all of them ends that, like, this match, other than the Revenants, this matches pretty much how all of the other random encounter tables are. So I'm gonna have to, let's just do some fucking texture and figure out where it goes. Enough whinging, Kearney. You're so close. It's just texture, dude. Don't cry about it. Just fuck around and find out. We'll start as we always do, with a patch of mud on the ground. And we'll see where it takes us. Maybe there's a cheat in between we can get to. Ooh, I've got an answer. I found an answer. We're just gonna do some silhouettes in the mist. The undead ignore this fog and mist effect completely. They don't even see it. They can see you. The 5-mile region that this manifest zone occupies has rotted and destroyed all the vegetation, and the new vegetation that's growing in is the unnatural poisonous stuff from the bar, and it's all the like the gas and release of the decaying plants fills the region with fog, and it limits characters' visibility. Like everything in open space in this manifest zone, vision is obscured after 40 feet. And then after 80 feet, it's completely obscured. You cannot see beyond 80 feet in the manifest zone. But the undead aren't blocked by the fog, so they can see you 400 or 500 feet away, and you can only see them 80 feet away. So the undead have this nasty tactical advantage where they can just stalk you like 100, 200 feet distance until you get tired or distracted, and then they can charge in and attack you. And if you're making perception checks, all you're going to hear is like wet stamping footprints crawling around you. And as you move towards them, they can scamper away to keep themselves concealed in the distance. So there's this nice paranoia sort of like you're always fucking surrounded. So you have to check your shit, and like resting in the manifest zone out in the open is fucking dangerous. And there's incorporeal undead that are floating in here, like almost like Dementors in Harry Potter. They're just roaming, and they can be 400 feet up and see you on the ground, and they can just drift and stalk over you and just drop on you at any time to start draining your life while you're in like if you get into a fight with a Barghest, and it's it's fucking around with you. So the Barghests are large size wolf demons that can shape change into goblins, but they're ridiculously intelligent, and evil is sin. So they might start engaging, like them and Shadow Mastiffs could just hunt you down and start engaging you on the ground, and while you're fucking with them, wraiths or specters could just drop out of the sky and start draining you. So none of the CRs, like none of the random encounters and stuff, none of the CRs are very high. 7th, 8th level characters can deal with them, but it's attrition. They're going to have to deal with that shit a lot. And there's a decent chance that they're going to be poisoned while they're fighting monsters. So everything they do is at disadvantage. So instead of acting like 7th, 8th level characters, they feel more like 5th level characters with more hit points. So you can't afford to rest in the manifest zone. You have to leave the zone to find safety and to like hide out somewhere in the Carnwood. And even then, there's a decent chance that you're going to get found by wandering monsters. So retreating back to the village, like on horse, you can get to the manifest zone and adventure and then get back. It's 20 miles, and a horse can do 40 miles in a day if you push it. So the pacing of the adventure, you can do it as a one-shot if you're just being teleported directly into the final dungeon to do a heist mission or a run and gun, smash and grab, however you want to build it. There's a couple different plot points like that. This is feeling pretty good. I'm gonna flatten this out a little bit. Now I'm gonna do it like this. Let's go with let's use a perspective tool first. Now we can flatten it. This is gonna work out. So we're gonna be here. We're gonna dot on some texture. So the idea at a glance is to have silhouettes of undead, and then have it all covered over. No, I did the same layer. I can't do that way. You get it though. But anyway, like this, and then have basically fog heavily obscuring them. But there's going to be undead coming towards the camera, and they'll just be out of range in the mist at the edge of obscurement. That should be sufficiently terrifying to get the point across. We already have a fogged out picture of Sturges attacking a hero in the mist. I just wanted to have more obscure information so it becomes abundantly clear. Your visibility in this thing is going to be shit. Because we talk about visibility over here. Undead and other creatures native to the plane of Eberron ignore the obscuring effect of the manifest zone. They can see creatures native to Eberron up to 500 feet away and pursue them in the fog beyond characters' visibility. Though a perception check score of 15 a passive perception score of 15 can hear sounds in the general direction of any stalking monsters in the fog. The fog goes a few hundred feet above ground. I think it goes 500 feet up, and then it starts getting dark. It's storming. It's the rainy season. It's raining all throughout the adventure. There's always heavy overcast, and then you get into the manifest zone, and the sun gets completely blotted out inside the manifest zone. I'm actually depicting things a little bit lighter for visibility, for image recognition, lighter than what the dim light would be. If I were to do all this correctly, I'd cut all the lighting in half. But I think that's going to be too dim for it to be entertaining illustrations. So I've been upping the I've been amplifying the lighting. But yeah, at the beginning, let's see. Manifest Zone occupies a 5-mile space within the Carnwood. Characters influenced by planar energies, shadow magic, blah blah blah. Characters proficient weather. Let's see. Travel, unique terrain. Manifest zone is always dimly lit by patches of unnatural glowing fungus spawning throughout the region. There you go. Creating eerie shadows that constantly shift through the saturated air. Lightly obscured vision beyond. This changed. This might actually be the most. Is this the most? Yeah, this is the most recent. That is incorrect. It should say 40 feet and 80 feet. A creature that flies directly up 1,000 feet clears the fog, but is impossible to see any details within the manifest zone below. There you go. I have to fix those 40 and 80. Now I have to do a sweep. I can't believe that survived. Oh well, it survived. Page 28 and others. Search for 20, 40, 80 to double check obscuring distances. They're all right on the maps. That was just careless. This is why I say someone's going to catch something, because it's like 60,000 words. I'm going to have mistakes. Even though Stuart did a great job improving stuff, we had made further modifications to it and more playtesting after he had done structure, building out structure with us. So that's not his fault. We'll fix that. We'll fix that tonight when we're done, while we're working on it. Speaking of tonight, I'm not going to, I will be late to start my evening Spelljammer Kaiju stream because I am playing Super Atomic with AJ Pickett, Wally DM, Fred Willer with How to RPG, and maybe Deficit Dungeon. I'm not sure who else is. I think there's 4 of us that are playing. So I will be doing that over on Wally DM's channel. I'll post a link when we're kicking, but yeah. So that's gonna go from East Coast time. It's gonna go from 8 till 10, and then I'll be firing up the machine and starting on Spelljammer stuff later. Since that goes till 7 o'clock, I bet I'm gonna be on. I could probably be online by like say 7:30, maybe 8, and have like an hour or two to do just like pure kaiju shit. So I'll be looking through the monster manual for more cool kaiju monsters to build, and then upscaling them to use the Spelljammer 50 and 500 foot scale mechanics that we use. So this is just some good ground terrain. I'm really happy with that. Let's go back and use our own reference. And let's grab our crystals again. I see Tex, what's up? Because, bro, I got rivers flowing through that patches of forest, all the things. But you know, some time is better to... Yeah, no kidding, right? I just realized that you say East Coast time, but you're on the West Coast. Yeah, because East Coast is closer to Europe, and I think people understand East Coast time better than Pacific Coast time. And like, for example, my playtesting on my Discord channel is from 9:30 a.m. till 1 p.m. Seattle time. It's better since almost everyone that I play with is out of state. It's easier to say 12:30 till 4 East time, and then you do the math. -5 UTC. Need to trim those down a little bit. Get a smaller scale. Yeah, the only thing I don't like about this is the inconsistency in the size of the grit that we put down, because we can't do billions of little pockmarks for the size of the coffee grounds sort of soil that this is. So we have an unnatural size, scale of the soil is loosey-goosey at best. But it's, you know, small price to pay for spider piece. Nice. I like how that looks. Not bad. And we're going to layer it for depth. And we're going to use a smaller brush size here at the start. We'll just drop all this in, and then we'll destroy most of it. What time is it? So, okay, I got about 20 minutes left. I won't finish this piece today, but we will finish this piece tomorrow. I don't think this is going to take more than tomorrow. And that means that next week we have only one painting left. And once we finish that painting, I'm done with all the art. I'm not gonna do production stuff. Like, production stuff isn't like extracting different monster art from the monster folder and then converting it into a GIF to then put it into the zip file as the assets that you get if you decide to buy the thing. And like all the maps and stuff, like having maps with grid, maps without grid, having maps without grid at this 70 pixel scale, so that you can just drop it directly into Roll20, and it'll auto match to the grid and inside of the environment, inside of the virtual tabletop. Sorry, the virtual tabletop on Roll20 uses a 70 DPI square, and it has basically vector lines for its grid. If you have a map that's 100 DPI and your grid is 2 pixels wide, so that you have like one box. Here, I'm gonna take a quick tangent here, because if you build a grid like this, where each one of these squares are connecting and touching each other, and these connecting lines, they're only 1 pixel wide, so that when you have the pixels actually connected to each other like this, it's 2 pixels wide. If that's 100 DPI, if the line is 2 pixels, like each square is 1 pixel, so the joining lines are 2 pixels wide. When you incorporate that into Roll20, and if you reduce it from 100 DPI, once it's done, down to 70 DPI, the width of the line is only like 1.4 pixels wide, instead of being 2 pixels or 1 pixel. It's like 1 point something. It's a weird width, but that width matches the vector lines that are in Roll20. So if you take a map at 100 DPI and reduce it to 70 DPI, and if the lines on your grid are 2 pixels wide, it will align perfectly with Roll20. Super easy cheat. So you can make it, like I was illustrating the maps at a 300 DPI, and then I reduce them down to 100 DPI, and then from the 100 DPI I drop it down to 70 DPI, so it will align with the map. So I can provide it at the 300 DPI for heavy depth, and then the 70 DPI for VTT, if you want to print it or if you want to use it on virtual tabletop. I can't imagine anyone printing these things in color and using them at their table. I was originally thinking about making just black and white maps for people to have easy printing. I might decide to do that. What a pain in the ass. So I don't know if I'm going to go that extra distance or not. You see how layering with a larger layer and then having a smaller pixel size over it helps helps add depth and texture and grit to what we're doing with the map here. I say as though I was some sort of an art instructor. Man, I fucking love that texture. It feels so good. And then let's put some base. And then on top of that, we're going to go with our Vulpina. Yeah, no kidding, right? We have learned 2 things now in the last 2 minutes. Oh shit! I'm really close. I got like 10 minutes left. So let's poke at this just a little bit longer. We want to grab that Lotharia color. Yeah, I know that's a horrible texture compared to what we have, but I needed to have some sort of gritty. No, we'll do that. I need to add a little bit more texture to help fade that out a little bit more. More grit, more grit, more grit. Yeah. This is where I need to be. Here, here. I see text. Let me catch up with you. What if there was one mountain that reached out of the fog? Is that within the realms of possibilities? No, there's no mountains for like 200 miles. And there's no way you'd be able to see it through the fog. I would love for that. One of my illustrations that I have is of a crops field near the village from the south looking north, and the mountains are huge in that picture. That's actually inaccurate. The scale of that is wrong, but it looked too good, so I let it sit. But it is topographically inaccurate. But it made for a cool piece, so I let it slide. This is, yeah, I don't want to. The fog of it, it'll carry itself. Once I get the undead creeping through here, it'll fall into place. Feels about right. Let's just add a little bit more. Let's reduce the size of the brush a little bit here to help push back in the horizon. Yeah, we'll have this piece finished tomorrow, no problem. I know the next steps on this one, and they are not going to take long. And they'll get. I have no idea. I don't even remember what's on page 101. I have no idea what that illustration is going to be. But after this, we have one illustration left, and then we're done doing artwork for this adventure, which means we're going to be doing Bob Ross paintings for a while. While I continue to pull this book together and publish it, we're going to take an emotional breather from doing any kind of production art, and we're just going to make some happy trees and happy little forests. And there's a number of landscapes, a number of landscape pictures, environment pictures of like different sites around the world that I've been collecting into a folder that I thought were cool. And I'm going to peel open that folder and start basically translating those into paintings, Bob Ross style. So we'll probably do that for the rest of February. I'm at a place where the books that we're gonna do after this one are done are still being written and pulled together. So I'm at a place where I don't have a lot of production art on my plate for a little while. I can start doing book covers, and I probably will, but before I get to that, I'm just going to do a nice little palette cleanser and do some happy trees and see if I can start posting that stuff up to my Patreon when we finish a piece, and and then start posting the work that I do, the landscape stuff that I do on the Reddits, the Happy Trees Reddits, to show, like, to start doing process illustrations and stuff like that. Almost there. We just need a little bit more layering, and then we'll be done. Stippling like this. I mean, this is basically like Japanese ink block paintings. You know, like they take the tree shape wood block and they press it in ink, and then they put it on the rice paper, and then they do a number of them, and it creates a pattern. That's the exact same method as that. The way I can reproduce Bob Ross paintings is essentially ink block painting with smudge techniques. That's basically all it is. But God damn, it looks so fucking good. I see text. So, bro, if you do it in the Bob Ross style, Bob Ross, both the painting and the teaching style, that would be fantastic. Also, if you gave yourself a hard pass, but I see the vision. I see it. Oh my god, I can't even imagine myself with a perm. Fuck off. Classic though. Yeah, the idea that I'm having is do the piece, put it on Patreon, include the JPEG, the PSD, so you can peel apart the layers, and the brush set that I use. Bundle that into a package for like $5, and then just start putting those on my Patreon. I don't expect them to sell a lot, but to be able to offer them. Here's what I did. Here's all the breakdown. Here's how I did it. Play along. I think that has value. So I'm going to do that for a little bit before I dive into the next book. I'm going to do that while I'm working on books on Mondays and Thursdays and Saturdays, and then off screen to pull things out. But everything, God, there's so many books that are like 75% done that I'm going to have just a storm of content that's going to be kicking out. I mean, the art production is going to slow everything down to a crawl, of course. That's the price of perfection. The actual first thing I'm going to do is rebuild the spellcasting chapter of the Spelljammer book that I built, because the circle magic mechanics that got released in the Heroes of Faerun are pretty much what I was trying to do with the Spelljammer amplified spells, but better. So you don't need to have multiple characters. Like circle magic, you one person casts a spell, and then each other person that's in the circle during their action, they contribute a spell slot towards amplifying the spell in some way. But in Spelljammer, it's while you're in a chair, you can either wait for people to feed you spell slots, or you can just dump more spell slots of your own. And with the way that turn economy works in Spelljammer, if you're first in initiative and you cast a spell, I can just automatically pitch in. Other characters that are later in initiative can just give up their magic action before it's their turn, just to chip that mana in for the spellcaster in the chair that's amplifying the spell to trigger it in the same round. Because in Spelljammer, we're dealing with 550 and 500 foot range, like, squares. So if I want to hit you with a lightning bolt 2,000 feet away, I'm going to have to dump in. Now you have to dump in an extra 2 spell slots, like 2 spell levels worth of spell slots, which I can just do myself by overcharging, or I could have somebody else that's also that's also focusing on spell amplifiers on the same ship. They can just hand off their mana to the other character and blow their action economy before they actually use their action economy in combat. So when it becomes the contributor's turn, they've already spent their standard action. they can now still use their bonus action, their movement, and their reaction and object interaction to do what they want, but they've already spent their magic action to help somebody earlier in initiative. So your spellcasters, if they're going to amplify spells, it's useful if they're earlier in initiative so that they can set up a spell and other people can feed action economy into it. And with the mana system that I've been developing, like Martial Powers, for instance, you could take the alert feat and swap your initiative with the spellcaster, so they're going to go earlier, and so they'll go as early as possible in initiative. And off of your own martial characters, you can lend mana to help amplify spells for the spellcasters that might be in the pilot chair at the moment. So that's a much better system. It's a better than one. It's more balanced, and it complies with what is now 5e a lot more than what I had originally developed for Spelljammer, and it takes care of like getting rid of the. I think the only problem I really have with the spell system I developed for Spelljammer was increasing the area of effect. I think the rest of it's actually pretty good, but with the release of the Circle Magic, they're approaching things a little bit differently than how I thought, and honestly, it's better. They did better than what I did, but now I can adapt it and incorporate it into what we're doing to make my shit better. I am thrilled. I will happily take the humility hit, because what we found is going to be better for the system. And that is the only thing that I think had weaknesses. The other thing that has weaknesses is that there's not the scaling of cost for ships is really binary. It's a very simplified ship cost system that doesn't take into account how wide your ship is, just the space that it occupies. It's flawed. It's not perfect, but it's good enough. And it's not so heavy in detail that it becomes accounting and pencils. Yeah, I know I'm out of time. Hey, what's going on, Steve? You're right here at the last minute. I'm about to check out of here. I've got like 2 minutes left. I'm just dropping in a little bit of texture here and finishing up my stream. So I'll be late to stream tonight because we're going to be on Wally DM's channel playing Super Atomic with AJ Pickett and Fred Wheeler and anyone else that's tagging along. I think we have a full crew of 5 or 6 players, and we'll be playing for 2 hours. And then after we're done with that, then I'll ramp up and I'll jump on. I'll do some kaiju stuff tonight for Spelljammer. So everything's going to be delayed by an hour or so. Occasionally I hook up with those guys and I play maybe like once a month or so. They've been on sabbatical, but I think we're going to be back in a rhythm of doing maybe once a month. And those are always on Thursdays. There. That's a decent line. Let's erase some of this and fade that in. And this should be the last line that we need back here. I can actually probably just drop a fade on this in general and then erase at it. There we go. That'll speed up the process a little. Hey there. Hey, Uni. How you doing, my guy? I didn't see when you crawled in here. There's some seagulls fighting crows outside. I can hear them. Oh, you've just been lurking, my dude. Welcome to the mix. Yeah, we're going to be out of here in just a minute. As soon as I can fade in this terrain, I'm going to bounce out of here. We'll finish this piece tomorrow, and we'll start up on the last piece in the entire set. You aren't going to want to watch production like me moving files from one folder to another and checking transparencies and shit like that. It's boring stuff. I do that in the evenings when you guys aren't looking, but I'm running out of shit to do there too. I keep saying I'll be done in 2 weeks, but this could potentially publish by like Friday next week. I'll probably publish it on a Tuesday because I like Tuesdays. Why are you glitching on me, dude? Oh, it's glitching on, there we go. Just a little bit more back off in the distance here. I can't let it go. Muse won't let me go yet. She's like, I want to finish this bit. I'm like, okay, babe. You run the show. She's the one holding the Nintendo power of my life. I'm going to let her steer me through the maps the way that she thinks is right. I somehow ran out of music. That is a hint that, when the Academy plays music, it's time to go. But backwards. Let's stipple that down a little bit more. Just push that texture into the ground. There. That feels pretty damn good. That's a good point. Okay, that's a good rest point. We're going to let that go. We have some Volpina back here for scale, so we'll be able to add in some people in the shadows here heading towards the characters through the mist. We'll thicken up the fog a little bit more to help explain their blurring. We'll fix the edges and see this just a little chunky texture piece here. It'll be fun. So that's it for today, guys. I'm out of here. I'm going to be back tomorrow morning to complete this piece and start on the new one. We'll be doing some Super Atomic. I'll post on my social medias and Discord the link for Super Atomic, and then after that I'll come back on and have at least an hour worth of kaiju artwork. Kaiju game design that we'll do. I want to build a 500-foot rust monster, and I want to revisit the Dark Mantle. And we already have a cloaker. We'll see what I want to look for weird creatures to make into kaiju to have fun. Anyway, that's it for now, guys. Thanks a lot for hanging out with me, y'all. I really appreciate you. Mostly eating lunch and chilling. Right on, my dude. That's it. I'm out. I'll see you later today. Bye.